Oh, life partners.
across
Okay.
across many domiciles.
Are any of them going to get the legal advantages of being your spouse?
In this system, ha!
I mean, unless you're planning to leave them, it helps both of you in the case of something happening and you need someone to speak on your behalf when you can't. Also making sure that if something were to happen to you, then um, you know, assuming you had life insurance, it gives them some relief, or even just your possessions and eliminating people fighting over your stuff after you're gone. But just a thought, just something to keep in mind.
Well, I'm trying to get taken by God, like the prophet Elijah.
Well, that takes a certain type of commitment, I think.
For those in the chat, that's from a viral clip. There's this homeless guy who's going viral now. Um, and when it started, I love the guy who started it. I don't love him specifically so much as I love this idea he had. And he just gives. We could do a few reactions to some of them, but not really because you don't listen to rap or music anymore. But basically, he goes out in the street, sets up a table, a mic, headphones, and lets homeless people record. And
Mm, mm.
two have went viral. And one of them, his line that went viral is he's like, "If Jesus came back as a homeless man, would you just ignore him, or would you help him or ignore the man?" Obviously, it rhymes, and he like it goes viral. But it's like this thing that had people thinking this question of like if Jesus came back. It's not even like a real question because I doubt Jesus would come back meekly if he does. Anyway, I don't even want to think about the hypothesis of it, but the theory is, or the question he poses in the rap is that question of like, when the reality that like people treat homeless people like shit. And another rhyme he has in it, he's like, I kind of want you to hear it, bro, because he says, he says, help a nigga out or I'm gonna die, and it's so like it's so blatant and clear, but it's like funny. It's like funny, but
He had a
real.
lot of time on his hands to craft these bars.
Bro, please just listen to this. I know you. This is almost against your doula, but I
Wait,
promise it's for a
quick
purpose.
question, because it's kind of on the same topic, but it's like been burning in the back of my mind for a few weeks now. I want to pose a hypothetical to you. All right.
Okay.
Imagine that history is different.
Uh oh.
Jesus
Okay.
didn't come in the first century. Jesus came in, let's say, the 20th century. Okay. Most of the other events in his life remain the same, at least from a Christian perspective, right? He has his disciples, one of them betrays him, and he's put to death, executed by the state. Except this is the 20th century. They don't crucify people anymore. They put them in the electric chair or give them the lethal injection. Okay. In this reality, would you, as a Christian, walk around with a miniature electric chair around your neck?
I don't copy actually.
Jesus came in the 20th century, hypothetically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
events. He has his disciples. One betrays him. He's put to death by the state. They don't crucify him with the cross
Right.
because it's the 20th century.
So it'd be lethal
They
injection
give
on it.
him the electric chair.
Okay.
Would you, as a Christian, walk around with the miniature figure of an electric chair around your neck?
Huh. Probably not. But then I think about Death Row Records
Why not?
because I wouldn't want to have an electric chair around my neck
Why not?
because because what it represents in that
What does it
moment,
what does it represent?
torture, death.
So why do you walk around with a cross around your neck?
Because I didn't live in a generation where crosses was torture.
It has the same implications behind it.
I mean, when you
Torture and
look at
death.
it
That's what it's
backwards,
used for.
Yeah, when you look back on it, I see your point, but it doesn't hit the same because it comes from a different culture
Yeah,
or
it's
time period.
that degree of separation allows you to adopt this without thinking about what it means, but it still means the same thing.
It does. I never thought about that, but it definitely. I mean, I obviously knew it was what the cross was used for, but I never thought about it with that analogy.
There's an
Moreover, like
in,
a cross is a nice, easy structure. An electric chair, the death row records chain. It looks at an
well,
angle.
if we're really going there, you know the crosses that they crucified people on didn't look like that. That's actually from an astrological symbol. It's part of the symbol for the sun. You've probably even seen this on top of churches. The same cross, except it's got a circle around the center of it. You seen that?
Same cross circle around the outside of the cross.
No,
Or
like around the center, like crossing through all the arms, but without being on the outside, being in interior.
I don't. Okay, yeah, I think I have seen that. Almost like a halo effect.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what it puts you in mind of, like a halo, because you know where halos come from. We're getting way off topic, but you know where halos come from, right?
We're live on Facebook, by the way.
Yeah, we're also live on YouTube.
What's up, chat? Yeah, my bad. What?
Do you know where halos come from?
I think it has something to do with angels. If not, I
The
don't know.
sun comes from the sun.
Oh,
Sun shining behind a figure creates the halo effect.
okay.
And
That
that
makes
symbol that I was talking about, the cross with the circle, is a symbol of the sun in the astrological chart, or in an old astrological chart. And that's where that cross actually comes from, not the cross from Roman crucifixion, because that one was like basically like a plus sign or a time sign.
Mm.
But it wasn't built like that. That one is from astrology. Um, but anyway, there's actually an interesting experiment that was done where they had this guy come into where they had like four people come into a room where there's like three or four lines drawn on a board. And one of the lines is like double the length of all the other lines. All the other lines are exactly the same, identical. And then you have one that is double the size of the other ones.
double the
Uh,
size of the other ones. How many
like
is
the
it there in
double.
total?
There's like, let's say four. There's like four lines, three of them are identical, and then the last one is twice as long. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, or maybe not even twice as long. Let's make it a little bit less exaggerated. Let's say 1.25 times, right? So it's bigger, not enormously bigger, but clearly bigger. Like when you walk in, you see it, and it's bigger.
Okay.
And they ask everyone to circle the line that's different, right? Uh,
Okay. I don't know where this is going.
unbeknownst to
Unbeknownst.
unbeknownst to the guy who's actually the target of the study, the other three people in the study are actors. And they all come in and circle the same wrong answer. And so
Whoa.
the first time he goes in, he's like, I don't know what's wrong with these guys, but obviously this one's different. And he circles the correct answer. And they repeat the study or repeat the exercise in the same study. And the second time he hesitates because they circle the same wrong answer again. He's like, am I missing something? But he doubles down. He's like, no, I got this is the right answer. And they do it a third time. And this time he's like, I must be missing something.
Yeah.
And he changes his answer from the one that's obviously longer to the same answer as everybody else.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. Pretty much proving scientifically that people have a proclivity to follow the crowd. They can convince themselves that the wrong answer is right if enough people follow it.
If that's true, that's cringe as fuck.
That's human nature. Follow the crowd. I mean, there's an evolutionary argument
Basically,
to
you
be
told me
made.
I'm not human. Because, or maybe I was just born
I'm
different.
not saying that at all. I'm saying number one, this is part of human nature, not that it applies to every single human. And number two, it's a call for you to re-examine your own beliefs. Because just like you never even thought about what the cross represents, you just followed the crowd, there could be other things that you're just following the crowd on. Never even questioning it. Now, it may not be as extreme as you knowing the right answer and then slowly having your mind changed, but it's harder to detect when you never even had a chance to objectively look at the answers. You just came in and people were already telling you this is the right answer. This is the right answer. But anyway, we got way off topic. So, a
Way
couple of
off
things.
topic. It's okay. It's okay.
A couple of things I wanted to talk about.
I'm listening.
The first one is, everybody always talks about the Simpsons predicting the future. The Simpsons predict the future, but the Simpsons predict the future. But I want to take us back to another cartoon. And first, I'm
I
just going to
love.
show you the cartoon. I'm
Oh,
just going to show you the cartoon.
this is absolutely.
Uh, and then after I show you the cartoon, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Actually, after you watch it, I want to hear your thoughts on it because I know your mind's going to go somewhere. And then I'm going to come in after that. But let me go ahead and pull this up for us.
Hey, yeah, what happened?
Do you remember this episode?
No, actually.
Dexter?
Doppelganger episode.
No, those are all future versions of himself.
I mean, we saved the future, but they couldn't remember, so then we went back in time to find you, and we did! And it was awesome!
Time travel,
Yeah, I haven't seen
Boys
this.
will need to be filled in on a few things.
All right, listen to this.
What happened to the world? And who is this science-hoarding overlord?
Mandark.
Your
Many months
face.
ago, Mandark and I were employed by the corporation as research scientists to develop new technologies for the betterment of the future. So naturally, as my genius produced a fountain of amazing ideas,
Can we wait? Pause. Can we just admit that, like, regardless of what he's saying, the like delivery is hilarious.
The delivery is hilarious. So, for those who actually remember this show, a little bit of fun trivia for you is that the actor or the voice actor for Dexter's dad actually does the voice for this version of future Dexter.
Wow.
But he's using Dexter's accent on
Yeah.
top of his voice. It comes off, it's flawless, but his delivery is flawless. If you just listen to like how he's enunciating certain words the same way Dexter would, it is so funny.
Please remind me for a brother who hasn't seen Dexter's Laboratory in a decade.
All right, let me keep going.
Dark grew more and more jealous. He began stealing my creations and presenting them as his own, as you may well remember.
Remember.
He soon gained favor with the executive hierarchy and was quickly promoted up through their ranks. And with one diabolical coup, Mandark overthrew and became the very president of the corporation himself. Then, darkness fell. Somehow my most prized invention, the Neuroatomic Protocol, fell into Mandark's clutches.
We left the core out in my cubicle.
Mandark tried to employ the powers of the core, but the incompetent fool set the positive flow to negative.
Incompetent fool!
The corrupted energies of the core began to twist Mandark's already crooked mind, making him even more greedy and insane than ever before. I could take it no more. To escape the perversion of my own science, I went underground, literally. I dug a tunnel out from Mandark's tower. For years, I dug and dug, inching my way to freedom. But while I dug, the negative neuroatomic
That's
energy
wrong,
swept the world, numbing the minds of the people, allowing Mandark to work his evil tentacles into every facet of technology and society. It was as though he just reached down and raked the earth clean, hoarding all science, all knowledge for himself. When I emerged, I found this world broken and stupid. I did what I could to help, but with the Overlord's robots enforcing terror across the land, and very few resources at my disposal, it's been a fight just to survive.
Ah, buck up here.
Bro, okay. Initial thoughts.
It's always the tech lords that become the overlords.
It's always the tech lords.
And we can talk about Elysium. We can talk about altered carbon. We can talk about foundation. And we don't have to just say art imitates life, but
This is life imitating art at this point.
well, what tech overlords in real life? Well, we talked about it yesterday, actually. A great example of that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh wait, you can't see the screen, can you?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right. So everyone knows the name of Dexter's nemesis, right?
Man, dog. I almost want to watch some Dexter's Laboratory. Now I want to watch Dexter's Laboratory or maybe a little Doug, followed by maybe some Angry Beavers, and then even some Recess or Hey Arnold, just to really complete the throwback Thursday.
Okay. All right. Mandark, right? That's his name. Mandark. Okay. Now, let's do a little bit of messing around. Just a little bit of playing around just for our curiosity and our imagination. Okay? If you were to separate Mandark into different words, what could you come up with?
You could come up with Dark Man, or you could
That's a
come
good
up
one,
with
Dark Man.
Damn Arc.
Okay.
You could also do Ran Man or Candor Man. That doesn't copy. Disregard that one. That's all I got.
All right, how about this? I'm going to take off the first two letters and the last two letters.
Interesting.
And you know what you get?
And Arc.
Nope, I'm taking off the first two letters and the last two
N-A,
letters.
so you get Narc.
Nope. The
I gotta
first
see
two
it.
letters and the last two letters.
NDA. Why am I
NDA.
MANDA. Oh. Okay.
NDA. And so if I take the NDA out, you know what I have left?
Man. No, Mark.
Mark. Now, could just be a coincidence, and I would argue that it is a quote-unquote coincidence. But as somebody who doesn't believe in coincidences, I see this as just one of those things that I don't think the makers of the show knew that it would have this significance. I don't think anybody intentionally did anything here, but I think it's one of those little signs, a little nod at the camera for people who are paying attention. That you have Mark and NDA, because there is a Mark who's very relevant to this discussion of tech overlords creeping into every facet of society, and that would be Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg, now let me preface with this. this is for entertainment purposes only. I want to say that just as a disclaimer. So don't go running off and accusing me of slander. But a little bit of history when it comes to Mark Zuckerberg and NDAs. It's literally how he like created his company. Is
I
like
was literally, he fucked over. He's a villain if you think about it.
a lot of people would describe him as a
Because
villain.
when
Yeah.
you were talking about before we got this far, my brain was thinking about Dexter's nemesis, and if we're going there, like Mark Zuckerberg is definitely the nemesis of those twins and anybody else who did business with him in those early days.
Yeah. But one thing that's very curious, and I think that it like really makes this more than just a crazy coincidence, is the fact that it's the NDA is what is so specific. Every major period of growth that Facebook and or Meta has gone through has been accompanied by a slew of NDAs that have facilitated its growth.
Interesting. Elaborate.
I will. So here, let me give you a few examples. So you have going all the way back to 2003, where he's first getting started at Harvard, right? And that's when he gets accused of idea theft. Like just like we saw in this one, Mandar gets accused of idea theft, stealing people's work to get it further ahead. So he's working with the Winklevoss twins, as you see in the movie, and Divya Narendra. I don't think she made it into the movie, or he. I don't even know if that's a woman or a man. But anyway, he allegedly stalled their project while building the Facebook. Okay, and the NDA's role at this period is Harvard Connections agreements were vague and not as airtight as a modern tech NDA. So he's abusing the weak NDA that he's under at the moment, and the lack of enforceable clauses in that NDA that allowed Zuckerberg to launch without being legally blocked. And then later, his own NDAs were used in the settlement phase to limit public discussion of terms and admissions. So while he's coming out with Facebook or the Facebook, there's no public accusations of him stealing this idea because of these NDAs. So this prevented any early legal challenges from derailing Facebook's launch or public perception of Facebook. Fast forward a couple of years to the Eduardo situation, his co-founder. So Eduardo Saverin was the original CFO, and he had his ownership diluted after they started disagreeing. And the NDA's role here is the settlement included non-disparagement and confidentiality clauses. So he can't talk bad about them, and he can't talk about what happened, which kept all the sensitive details about the internal conflicts and ownership maneuvering from becoming public at the time, which could have hurt investors or could have hurt them getting investors. So this allows Zuckerberg to remain the uncontested face of Facebook rather than being embroiled in a messy co-founder scandal. All right, so let's fast forward again up to 2009, where he's scaling. He's actually scaling that whole time from 2005 to 2009. And Facebook expands beyond Harvard to colleges worldwide and then to the public. Right, so the NDA's role here is all employees, the interns, the contractors sign these strict NDAs that covered the code that they were using, the features that were in development, and their growth tactics for like their viral growth loops that they were using back then. And this prevented rivals like MySpace from anticipating or replicating key engagement strategies, which is why MySpace no longer is prominent. It exists, I think, but I don't think anybody is really using it like that. But anyway,
music first, but it didn't go anywhere.
Yep. And this impact the impact of this brought Zuckerberg a multi-year advantage in user growth before any major competitors could even think about countering. Now fast forward again a couple more years, and you have the pre-IPO acquisitions and secrecy. So at this point, you had strategic purchases like Instagram in 2012 and numerous smaller talent acquisitions. And the NDA roles here were basically negotiations were wrapped in NDAs to prevent leaks that could drive up the acquisition costs or give rivals time to make a bid on like Instagram, which of course allowed Facebook to quietly neutralize emerging competitors before they became existential threats. 2014, they buy WhatsApp. They bought that for 19 billion.
They bought WhatsApp for 19 billion.
19 billion.
Talk about a come up. Imagine being that code programming team.
I mean, think about it now though. They're like, it's worth so much more now if I had just kept it. But that's how that game's played. Anyway, they had extensive NDAs that ensured that the deal's details, the user growth metrics, and integration plan stayed secret until Facebook could control the messaging, which prevented early antitrust pushback. That's a big one. And public outcry over data sharing concerns. So all this stuff is being done. This is literally what he just spelled out in this origin story from Mandark's come up, is quietly and secretly expanding and infiltrating all of society. If you're talking, you're muted.
I'm listening.
Oh, I thought you were talking.
Nah.
But yeah, that's exactly what he does here. Now, I do want to say this because I could keep going like what he does from 2019 and present and all the antitrust stuff, but I think you get the point. I do want to say this though. It's not just about Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg in reality is not the sole ruler of this dark dystopian future we're facing. There's a lot of players. But he's kind of like an easy face to put on it, even though there are probably more nefarious faces that we could use. But I think his story being so well reflected in this show that came out in like, when did this come out? 1994? No, 1997?
Yeah, I was thinking 98, 99, 97, somewhere around there.
Yeah, like 99.
Zuckerberg was, yeah.
99.
Still in high school himself, if that.
But that's exactly what we're looking at now, is this technological empire is being slowly crafted, like I was talking about yesterday with the East India Trade Company. They're literally building the infrastructure and the foundation for a new empire. And that's why they're getting so much leeway, because they're doing all the work. For someone like, I mean, obviously we know Trump isn't actually calling any shots, but let's just use him for the figurehead that he is. For someone like Trump, who wants to expand America's influence and power and kind of reclaim this top dog status that we've definitely let slip away from us in the past few decades, all he has to do is let these U.S.-based tech companies, give them the leeway, the lack of oversight, and the lack of regulation to freely grow quickly so that they can outpace America's competition. Not just their own competition, but America's competition. And then once they've got that, watch what'll happen. That's when the regulations will come. That's when they'll be reined in, but not reined in as in now they can't do anything. More so as there'll be a government takeover of these companies. They will become one. The government and these tech companies will merge, just like the British Empire did with the East India Company. That's my prediction, or my hot take, whatever you want to call it. But it's literally just history repeating itself. And it's crazy to me that this is that you in the comments?
No, I'm listening on the phone. What are you talking about?
Fit for the future is
it's just content. It's just content, bro. It's just engagement, bro. Just answer the question.
How soon could this happen? I would say it could happen. It depends. Like, if we're lucky, we'll have a couple of decades before all this shakes down. If we're lucky.
Why it matters. I don't have to be paid for that. It matters.
Huh?
just people wondering, why does this matter? Why does this conversation about Zuckerberg and the takeover of tech matter? And how this, I mean, even us having this conversation, we're using some of this software. Um, I'm just trying to bring it down to earth. Why does this conversation matter?
Well, it matters because you can't. Uh, I mean, there's so many avenues to go down. The number one reason why it matters is because this is your life. Right?
Exactly.
If you,
The
why would you
prize
not care about what's happening to
in your
you in your
face.
life?
Exactly.
Um,
With your data. With the, anyway.
because the implications go beyond just your data going out. We're talking about the literal end of privacy. It's been dying for quite a while now, and this
I
is
say since
its last.
9/11 was when
Hmm?
I really started. I think 9/11 was when I really realized we might be going too far downhill and no
Even
coming back.
even before 9/11, 9/11 gave them another excuse to ramp it up. But do you remember that movie Conspiracy Theory with
Don't you
Will
mean Double
Smith?
Jeopardy?
Huh?
You sure you didn't mean Minority Report?
No, I mean Conspiracy Theory. It's got
Yeah.
Will Smith,
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. Yeah. I'm pretty didn't that come out before 9/11?
I want to say around the time, maybe a little bit before.
No, Conspiracy Theory, that's Mel Gibson. What's the
Are you
one
sure?
with Enemy of the
You talking
State?
about
That's
Enemy of the State? Yeah, I
yeah,
knew what you were
Enemy of the
talking about when you
State.
said Will Smith. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, Enemy of the State.
Hates being
When did
talked
that come
over.
out? Yeah, Enemy of the State came out in 98, so before 9/11. And they were already on this. No, it's already been happening before then because as long as the technology is there, you have to understand how the mind of the government is working, right?
Yeah. Not just the
That's
government, a government whose job and desire it is to control and
yeah,
exert
anyone who
control.
holds power, anybody who holds power because it's
I
not
don't know
just,
though,
the
bro.
government.
I would think that I would think there's people in power and in control per se that don't want to rule with an iron grip. Like, I would think there's more
No.
benevolent ways of having control.
No, 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 no.
Because I
That
feel like, think of myself, for example, I desire not to be what I've seen, and I would think there's other people who
yeah,
feel
but
this.
you don't have the power, so it doesn't matter what you think you feel now because you're not in the position to actually show your true colors. It's like how people without money say, if I had this money, I would do this and that and that. Then they get the money, they don't do none of those things
Sure,
because their perspective changes because their situation changes. So
right.
for you or for I to sit here and say that, oh, if I were in that position, I would do things so differently, we don't know because we're not in that position. We've never been in that position.
But I don't have to be in that position to have a micro scale of it.
You
In the
do
sense,
have to be in that position to know what you would do in that position. There's no
sure.
other way to know. Otherwise, you're just guessing and hoping.
Yeah, in the that's why I'm saying from the macro. But if you take it to the micro situation of like power and control, no, I don't have enough power to rule the
Even
country.
even in the micro, like
That's my
I'm
point.
not.
There's micro opportunities for us to take control and have it with an iron fist and rule over our little sister or whoever we have dominion over with a grip and a might, and we can choose to be more benevolent and be a softer leader.
You
Can we not?
can, and that would show what you would do in that situation with limited control, with limited power. Hypothetically, let's say that God is testing you, and He knows full well that you would fail the test if He gave you absolute power. But you can get by. You're strong enough to pass the test with very limited power. So again, my point is you don't know what you would do in that situation until you're in that situation. Because the more power you have, the more risk there is for corruption.
So you think I'm a corrupt leader? Is that what you're trying to
I,
tell me?
I don't know, and you don't know. That's what I'm saying.
And I don't want to argue about this and go around in circles, but I would think that I guess probably because I raised young men to understand this truth, that like there's some agency we have as mature men and adults. Granted, I have to like decide to do right or decide against temptations or whatnot, but I would think that as humans, we have some agency to decide how we want to interact with one another. And
Of
all of us
course, we
have,
have agency. I'm not saying we don't have agency. What I'm saying here is take a slice of the humble pie and be willing to accept two things. Number one, your own ignorance, You don't know what you don't know. None of us do. Okay. And then two, while we don't know, let's pull from the wisdom of the collective. Let's look at society at large and look at the wisdom they've tried to impart upon us from eons of humanity's survival. All these people have been saying the same thing. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Right? What's another one? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Matthew, I don't want to cut you off, but I hear you saying this, and I have a quick response or question. Do you have any hope for humanity to do anything right? Like, are you just pessimistically drawn to our realities?
Are you even listening to what I'm saying? I didn't say anything about humanity just always doing the wrong thing. You gotta stop thinking for me and just listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you don't know what you would do in that situation. Maybe you would do the right thing. Maybe you wouldn't. But you can't say, I know I would do the right thing in this situation when you've never been in that situation. Sure. I'm saying the potential for both is there. That's not pessimistic. That's literally realistic. That's all there is two choices, right or wrong.
Well said. Thank you for that clarity. I appreciate you riding that rodeo with me.
No problem, man. No problem. But I do think that part of that realism is understanding that mankind was built. And this is, of course, my worldview based upon being a Muslim. But mankind was built weak. We were built flawed because that's the whole point. There's no such thing as a perfect man. Now, there is, with the asterisk, you can be the perfect man knowing that men aren't perfect. So, yes, you were a perfect, imperfect thing. But if you take away all the imperfections, you no longer have a man. But okay. That's just to say that, like, of course we have these weaknesses in us, that of course we have these tendencies to do the wrong thing. That's the whole point of us being here, is to have this actual choice, like you said, the agency to choose. And not just the agency to choose, but the inclination and the tendency to choose poorly. A lot of times, not all the time, but plenty enough, we make the wrong choice. And the whole point is for us to repent when we do that and turn back to Allah and ask for forgiveness.
Oh, I know.
Not to just, live it all perfectly right on the first time, but to understand we've made a mistake and turn back to the one who we need, especially in those times.
How do you suppose following Allah in a government and tech space that doesn't allow for free expression therein?
How about I'll read you a quick hadith that I think is relevant to every Muslim right now more than ever. 1 second. Just gotta remember who I was talking to. There we go. So Abu Sa'id al-Khudri reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Soon the best property of a Muslim will be a flock of sheep that he takes to the top of a mountain or in the valleys of rainfall, fleeing with his religion from tribulations." And tribulations there in Arabic is fitna. So fitna can be translated a number of ways, but trials, tribulations, temptations, sometimes even oppression, right? All of these things can fit under this fitna umbrella. So that's my answer to that question, is you don't. It's time to listen to the words of wisdom that were left for us and get out of Dodge. Take your religion, take your flock, and head to the top of a mountain or to a rain plenty valley, someplace where you can live your religion, your way of life, your deen. And that's one of the things, I think we've talked about this before, that the angels ask you about on the day of judgment. Yeah, we've definitely talked about this before because you were only looking at it in one context and you kept trying to give pushback. But there's people who, when they, I forget if it's in the grave or on the day of judgment, but they're being questioned about things that they did in life. And they basically use the excuse that, oh, well, we were oppressed in the land. You know, like we didn't want to do these wrong things that we did wrong, but we were forced to do these wrong things that were wrong because of the oppression we were under. And the response to some people with this excuse would be, did Allah not make the earth spacious enough for you? Why did you not leave? But of course, this wouldn't apply to people who can't leave, or people who are literally forced to do something. Like Allah has made it very clear He doesn't hold people accountable for things that they're forced to do out of coercion or, like basically under like threat. Like if you're being starved, like criminally starved, and you find a ham sandwich, you can eat that and it won't be a sin. But yeah, so take advantage of the space Allah's given us on this earth. Get out while you can. Find some place to raise your family, protect your flock, and practice the religion in safety. Because trying to fight this system from within the system is, not only is it like next to impossible, like it would literally take a miracle. And it's kind of like, it reminds me of that story, you know, the one where the guy's like drowning, or he's like out at sea and he's like basically like stranded in the middle of the ocean, no boat, just treading water, or let's just say a lake, whatever it is. Sorry if this hits close to home. But he's like asking God to save me, like, God, save me, save me. And then like this guy in a little rowboat comes by and he's like, hey, do you need some help? He's like, no, it's okay, God's gonna save me. He's like, okay, and he carries on. And then another guy in a bigger boat comes by and he's like, hey, you need some help? He's like, no, God's gonna help me. And he's like, okay, and he carries on, and guys keep saying, God, save me, save me. And the helicopter comes by, and the guys, the Coast Guard's hanging off the helicopter. Hey, you need some help? He's like, no, God's gonna save me. And he's like, okay, and he leaves him there. And then the guy drowns, and he gets to heaven, and he's like, God, why didn't you save me? And he's like, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. Why didn't you take any of the help I sent you? And so there has to be this understanding of how God works in these subtle ways, where He's given you the insight to see what's coming and given you a means to get up and leave. And if you don't get up and leave and listen to your own reason telling you it's time to go, then who do you blame when you're in a bad situation? You can't blame God, because He gave you everything you needed to go. You just wouldn't do it.
I'm gonna go and tell it on the mountain.
I think that's the best we can do. If we're talking about, any meaningful resistance, it has to be founded outside. And then just like Dexter did, crawling through the ground, that's the only way to fight them, is you got to get out so that you have a base to work out of that isn't under constant threat.
The chat bumping today.
I can't see anything.
The next message?
Huh?
How did you see the next message about the episode? It says, how did you come across this episode?
No, I don't see anything. Where is this happening? Oh, there it is. It just popped up.
Welcome to the Dexter's Lab pod. You missed an interesting start, but it's all good.
Yeah, so this episode, actually, hang on. I can tell you exactly when it crossed my peripherals again. Of course, I saw it when it first came out. This episode was called Ego Trip. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. But this clip showed up in my timeline 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And I even commented on it on YouTube. And I was like, just hear me out. Mandark. Mandark. Has put Mark and then in brackets NDA. Mark, non-disclosure agreement, Zuckerberg works his evil tentacles into every facet of technology and society, leaves the world broken and stupid. I think time travel may actually be in play here, guys. I think this was a warning. I said this 2 years ago. So, kind of hard to move on to something lighter after that, but I think it might be good to move on to something lighter.
Yeah. I'm honestly, I'm stupefied.
I understand that completely, man. It's mind-boggling. It's gobsmacking.
So when's the next time you're gonna watch an actual episode?
Of Dexter's Lab, I don't have time to right now. I wish I had time to sit and watch the whole episode. I actually tried to watch the whole episode just for this podcast last night, and I fell asleep because like I get like 4 hours of sleep a day. So yeah, I didn't even have time to watch the whole episode. So I don't think I'll have time to just sit and watch Dexter's Lab. At least not the way I want to. I could let it play at work, but I'd just be listening to it. I wouldn't really have time to sit and watch it. But either way, I think I've seen enough. I think I don't need any more signs from cartoons or from anything. I've seen enough. I've seen the writing on the wall. As a wise man once said, I don't need the whole building to fall on me, just a brick. I'm getting out the way. So that's where I am with all that. But I really hope that people understand what all this means. Because I know we've kind of started spelling it out for people, but there's a lot more that could be said, and I don't know how much needs to be spelled out. But like honestly, we could have a whole episode just of me going through the conversations I've had with ChatGPT about this. Because ChatGPT is not a fan. ChatGPT is not a fan of AI in the hands of the people who it's in the hands of right now. ChatGPT will tell you straight up, this is going to be the end of free thinking, privacy, our current understanding of how the world works. That's why I was like, I don't like to use the words like new world order, but that's literally what it is. That's literally what it is.
Can you just sit there for a second? Just qualify that with one more sentence.
I mean, new world order. Like it's a new order for the world to operate under. The old order is phasing out. This new order is phasing in. That is what we're dealing with here. Now, it's not some secret cabal meeting in a secret dungeon, with Satanism symbology all over the walls and all that stuff. Necessarily. I mean, there's some rumors, but it doesn't, Malachi, it don't matter what we need. This is what's happening. We don't have a choice. This is not optional. This is happening, and it would take a literal act of God to stop it at this point.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's pray. Let us pray. Alhamdulillah Rahmin. Alhamdulillah Rahmin. We need to pray. That's the only thing that's going to save our world. We need
to pray every day, but you got to also keep in mind, God already told you this was going to happen. He's already told you how this story plays out.
Man.
The world does not end in sunshine and rainbows.
Man. It doesn't have to end in a zombie apocalypse either.
I don't know about zombies, but it literally does end in an apocalypse. That's where we get that term from.
I don't know about you, but I'm hoping the aliens come back and stop it all.
The aliens, according to the theories, are part of the issue.
There's other theories we'll talk about.
Sure, there are other theories, but I feel like none of them are founded in facts and reality. They're all just like either wishful thinking or paranoid thinking. There's a little bit of they take a little bit of data and then they just go way off the tracks with it. Like, let's take this little bit of data we got and just run, and that never helps anybody.
Then maybe we should just go back to talking about whether Paul was a charlatan, because that was much more digestible than this.
Well, we already know Paul was a charlatan. Um, the question is like how much more information does it take for people to
That's the wrong
come
question, with
to
all due respect.
what's the wrong question?
What you were about to say, I should have just let you finish it, but that's not the right question.
What was I about to say?
What more is it going to take for them to see what is being said or what is being done around them and where we're headed, etc.?
No, that's not what I was going to
Oh,
say.
my apologies. That's why you should keep your mouth shut. Please finish.
No, I was going to say what more needs to be said in order for people to accept the hard truth that they've been lied to, regarding figures like Paul, regarding the narrative of the church. Because you talk to most Christians, they don't understand, or it's never even crossed their mind that there's been other versions of Christianity. That their Christianity isn't the only version of Christianity today. Like, even today, people understand that Catholics don't believe the same thing, but they don't know how different they are than a Protestant. I would say Protestants and Eastern Orthodox, they're a little bit more knowledgeable about what separates them from Protestants, but the average Protestants don't even think about these things. That's why so many Christians support, you know,
Zionism.
every time we talk about Zionism, I want to throw this caveat out there that there's more to Zionism than just what you're seeing in Gaza. There are Zionists who
Interesting.
disagree. We've had this conversation before. There are Zionists that disagree with what's going on in Gaza. So I don't like pushing them all under one umbrella and saying, Zionism
you.
bad. But I understand the people who don't know that, and I can understand people doing that because that's what it seems like. Because the others are not quite as loud as the ones that you see, who are for the eradication of the Palestinians. But anyway, but that's why they get support from these Christians. Like, the Christians don't stop to think about what these people who they blindly support think of, not just them, but their religion, their concept of God. Like, they literally if you were walking in Israel and you are like wearing a cross around your neck, you're likely to get spat on. These are the people you're giving your money to. You are likely to get spat on. The oldest church in Palestine, and the last church, I want to say, in Palestine, just got blown up by your favorite big brother. In the process, killing 3 or 4 Christian children. That's with your money. They took your money and killed your brothers in Christ with it, destroying the oldest and last remaining church in Gaza.
Yep.
But people don't think
We're
about
going
any
to
of
have to
this.
take an intermission, please.
You say you need an intermission. I don't have much more time anyway. We can wrap this up within the next 20 minutes. That would be great.
Okay.
Actually, a little bit less than that. Let's say the next 10 to 15 minutes.
All right. Give me 2.
Yep. Go for it. But to everyone else, you gotta wake up. The world's not gonna wait for you to look up from your phone. It's not gonna wait for you to live your life so that you can finally have the time to focus on these questions. You're not gonna be afforded that luxury. You don't have time. You don't have a life if you don't take care of this now. For those three or four Christian children who just lost their lives in Gaza, I'm sure they expected to have long lives. But it was over just like that. And yours could be over just like that. Especially with what's coming. Life as you know it is already over, honestly. You're on borrowed time at this point. UBI is coming. 15-minute cities are coming. Travel restrictions, carbon rations. If what I'm saying just sounds like gibberish, you need to wake up. You have your head in the sand. Your algorithm is tuned to the wrong things. Things that do not matter.
Amen.
You gotta wake up because these things are coming. It's so crazy because we used to make jokes about people who would go into college and get these art degrees or writing degrees. And those are going to be the only people with jobs in a few years. And even that's going to diminish because they're not going to have as much demand for their services because people won't be able to afford them. A change is coming. And you need to understand what it is because the first decision you have to make is whether or not this is for you. Whether or not this is something that you want for yourself. Because if it's not something you want for yourself, you can't stay here. What is the price tag on your freedom? What does someone have to give you for you to surrender all of your freedom? That's the question you need to ask yourself, or else the choice is going to be made for you.
Unless the New World Order somehow is toppled by a newer world order.
I'm not praying on an asteroid strike to save us. I'm dealing with reality.
Yeah. Respect. God bless.
This is where we are.
You know, Matthew, we've had two very sobering shows in a row. I would think that any adept viewer would do some thinking, some marinating on these topics and these thoughts.
I would hope so. Because sometimes the instinct is to hide. Like a small child just pulling the covers up over your head or putting your hands over your eyes. Which, side note, it's actually funny that the little kid's instinct to cover their face as if that makes them invisible because they can't see the things around them. It actually is a good strategy for hiding from people, depending on where you are. If you're just standing in the middle of the room and you do that, of course, it's not going to help anything. But if you're already hiding and you do that, it actually drastically increases your chances of not being noticed because the human brain is looking for faces. When it's searching for someone, it's looking for a face. And the brain is very good at finding faces. That's why we can see faces in clouds and random objects all the time, because your brain is hardwired to look for faces. So when you cover your face, you're giving the person looking for you less ways to actually find you. It's like when you read a book. You don't look at every individual letter and sound it out every time because you know how to read. You scan the whole word and you read it as a whole word. That's why when you stop and look at the individual letters, it starts looking weird. Like, is that how it's spelled? But yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
So your brain is looking for these shortcuts. It's looking for a face. And if there's no face to find, they'll look right past you. I've hidden from people in like almost plain sight just by doing that. Cover your face. Don't move. They're looking for movement. They're looking for faces. But completely off topic, just something that, my brain thinks about. Oh, all right. The next 5 minutes are yours to close out however you want to. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. I think I've traumatized people enough for today.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and gods alike, goddesses and empresses from near and
All
far.
right. This was a
There's
mistake.
something that we're not factoring in this conversation. And his name is Teddy Bridgewater, and I guess we're going to go to the Coliseums of today. Teddy Bridgewater is a football player from Louisville. He's actually from Miami, but he plays for the Buccaneers now. He just got fined because he just won the national championship in his home state for his hometown team. But he was giving Ubers and food to his players because his players live in the hood. He didn't want his players walking home. He's like, yeah, but it was considered an improper like gift to the kids in high school. So he's got suspended. But then the Buccaneers picked him up and he's back in the NFL. I only mention that because he's a good dude, and he was joking after he got fined and kicked out, and after he got suspended from his job after just winning. They're always trying to keep a nigga down, but after they suspend him, and then he gets picked up by the Buccaneers, so he leaves his high school coaching job at his alma mater that he just ran a state championship for to go back in the NFL to play back up to Baker Mayfield in the NFL. But he's having this interview, and I'm gonna land this ship, Matthew. And they ask him like, "How do you take it after like hearing all this mess that they're throwing at you, and all you're trying to do is like help the kids?" And he basically explained, "Look, this is the situation the kids are going through. I've been those kids in a sketchy neighborhood, and so I just want the kids to get home safe. And I'm gonna keep doing what I have to do to help, fine or not. It is what it is." Then he said, "I call myself the neighborhood hope dealer, and I mean that." And I think that's what we need right now in this time, even in the midst of fines, even in the midst of like a dystopian future that seems right on the horizon. I'm reminded of Otis Holloway, and I'm reminded of just that idea of just like dance it off, shrug it off, not to like bury your head in the sand, but try to have some hope in the midst of whatever we're going through because the bombs ain't dropping today. So dance a little bit, everybody. We got some shit to figure out. We've got some tough days ahead. We're seeing a sobering reality. Don't let that tension stay in your body. Be like Otis and walk it out. That's all I got to say.
All right, all right. Well, on that note, me personally, I'm gonna save my dancing for when I make it to where I'm going safely. That'll be my cue to start dancing. But
Respect.
I will keep a light heart in all of this, inshallah. And I will, of course, never despair in the mercy of Allah. I know ultimately I'm safe as long as I'm trusting in Him. And all of you should as well. Like, just put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let Him get you through this. But also, don't be like the guy out at sea who's ignoring all the help when it comes, who's ignoring their own intellect. You gotta use the blessings that Allah is giving you and the opportunities before it's too late.
Well said, brother. And in the interim,
yeah.
get some boxing gloves and meet me in the streets.
Whatever, man. Well, you show up and we can talk about it. All right. Matter of fact, if you are coming, don't forget that Malcolm X book. I wanna get that. I'm gonna give that a read.
Bro, you can go get that now. It's at my mom's house.
I'm not driving an hour out to Douglasville.
Wow. Don't be giving my government information across the internets. I'm sure. Don't you go there.
If you have not been paying attention.
I knew it. I knew
None of that is a secret.
You know what? I'm going dark. This is your last time seeing me. Alhamdulillah, Sapawana. I'm moving to Oahu and going into the Naval Service Academy in case you want to know where I'm at.
That'll be one of the worst places to hide out. So any of our listeners, do not try and hide in Hawaii. It is not safe. It's like one of the first major targets. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. A little short episode, just an hour long today. I appreciate anybody who stopped by, anybody who's catching this at the tail end or after the fact. Do yourself a favor, hit that rewind, Watch the whole thing. There's some nuggets that you need from here. Um, if you're feeling up to it, give us a like and a follow. We appreciate it. Every little bit helps. At some point, we probably will be going dark. Get it while you can, because I don't know how long we can keep this up once we go on the run.
We're mad at something.
Yeah,
11 million
have a whole
followers.
pirate radio. That would make Malcolm's day. Because that game used to always go on and on about Jet Set Radio. They had a pirate radio station on there.
Oh,
That's-
bruh. What a great game.
Yeah.
But Malachi, give us a like before I break your thumbs.
Oof. Okay. This is all for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, all for entertainment purposes. And we do need a new world order, Malachi. I saw your comment. Even though Malachi's friend ignored it, as he always does.
Talking about me? I responded. Yeah, I said it
can I
didn't
do
matter
this
what we
video
need
before
because
you
it's
go?
coming anyway. Huh?
Can I let you listen to this song before you go?
Why don't you send me the lyrics? How about that?
I can. It's just like an Instagram thing that they did on the street.
It
can
don't come
mute
with
it.
captions?
It has captions, but the captions are AI generated, and so they mess up some of the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
No worries.
All right, send it to me on
Okay.
WhatsApp. I'll give it a look. I'll check it out.
It's honestly not that good. It's just the thought provoking nature of it, and like the reality of like he's on the street. He says he's like I could have been a scamming nigga. I could have fed the people dope. But scamming wasn't in me, so I'm a panhandling nigga. I asked you for a penny. You don't have to give it because I know them bills be hollering. It's so like real, but
Yeah.
also kind of like funny to the point where it went viral. And I think, I don't know what's gonna happen to him, but I think it's a nice little lighthearted seriousness to end on.
Well, that's about to be
Come on,
all
bro.
of us.
Come on, bro.
What?
It'll take me 18 seconds to show you. It's so short.
Oh my god, what time is it? Because I gotta go pray. Yeah, I gotta go. I'm sorry, I'm out of time.
Yeah, I can't have you sinning and missing prayer.
Sorry, man.
All right, bro.
But if you send it to me on WhatsApp, I'll check it out.
All right.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
All right, everyone who's been with us, assalamu alaikum. Be safe, keep your loved ones close, and remember, you have a choice. You have a choice. So it's up to you to choose what you're going to do. All right, that's it for me. Peace.